Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another tag video. This was supposed to be a vlog, but a casual vlogger, I am not. So we're gonna do a tag today. We're gonna do the book rec tag. I don't know who created this, but it wasn't me. When I did the booktube newbie tag, I did notice that you really didn't get to know me as a reader, which I found really unfortunate. So I came across the book rec tag, and this will give you a better idea of what kind of books I like, what kind of books I don't like, because I promise you, there are things that I do like. I know I throw out a lot of 2 stars, but I promise I like some things. Number 1, a book you tell people is your favorite. Now, if you've been on my channel for more than a second, or you've talked to me for more than a second, you know that answer is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This is still my top book of 2023, and I'm currently at 131 books read at the time of filming. So that's a big deal, even for me. A couple have come close, but this is still the top. This is the sequel to Ninth House, and if you haven't read Ninth House, you need to. Just do it. And even if you read Ninth House and didn't like it all that much, still read this one, because in my opinion, it's so much better, so much more action-packed, so much more fun, and it's literal perfection. Number 2, a book that is your guilty pleasure. Now, this shouldn't surprise anybody. It's Twilight, and I'm not ashamed. I love Twilight. Beebs and I literally just finished binging all of the movies, and I don't regret 1 second of it. I love Twilight. I've always loved Twilight. I understand that it hasn't aged well at all, and I'm fine with that. I love it. Oh, this one is one of my favorites. Number 3 is, what is a book that everyone loved that you hated? And again, if you've known me for any amount of time, you will know that I hate things that are well loved. I don't mean it to be that way. I wish it wasn't that way. So it was really hard to narrow it down. But I did pick Lore Olympus. I didn't like this. I don't like mythology in any capacity. So I felt like this one kind of summed up the whole genre. But I read this, I didn't get it. The art style is real cute, but I'm just like, okay. Like I don't see the hype, and I never will, and I don't care. I don't care. 4 is a book you read the fastest. Now this one I don't know for sure, but I'm just taking a wild guess here, and that's gonna be A Dowry of Blood. So I read and annotated this book in 1 shift at my old job. We're talking like I went in heavy with the highlighter. Like I could not put this book down. It is absolutely perfect. Number 5 is a book that deserves more hype. And for that, I picked The Hazelwood. This is another favorite. It's been out for a while, so I haven't talked about it much, but I absolutely adored this book. I think it is phenomenal. I know when this book was first released, it was getting a lot of hype because it has a pretty cover. This is the Fairy Loot edition, by the way. Just haven't heard anything about it since, and it's a damn shame because it is so good. By the way, I'm not really going to give synopsis for any of these books because, as y'all will know, I go into my books blind. I think that is the best way to go into books. If you want to look them up, you are more than welcome, but you're not going to get that from me here, just as a disclaimer. 6 is a book that is becoming a movie or a TV show. I was so happy this question was on there so I could yet again shove the honeys down your throats. Nobody told me this was becoming a movie. Like, apparently this has been a thing, and I literally just found out a couple days ago. I am equal parts excited and scared as I am with any adaptation, but it will be so awesome to just see this adapted, even if it's horrible. Like, it's not going to change my opinion on the book. By the way, the book is perfect. If you haven't read it, do it right now. Like, order it on Amazon right now. Beeb saw it at Walmart. Like, it's around. Yeah, this is being adapted into a movie, and I can't freaking wait. Oh my God. 7 is a book you reread the most. This was kind of a tricky question for me as I reread a lot of things. So I kind of went off like most recently. So in the last 6 months, I have read the Well Met series twice, and I already want to do another reread. But specifically, my favorite book in that series is Well Matched. This is book 3 out of the 4 that are out right now. And this one is just my favorite, but I usually binge the entire series all at once, but I'm always itching to get to this one. Like, I constantly always just want to read it. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know what it is about this series as a whole. I seem to be the only one who cares. But this book specifically, like it's always in my head. I always want to pick it up. 8 is a book from a genre you don't typically read from. And I kind of read a little bit of everything, so this was another challenging question, but I picked The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. This is a classic. It's like a modern classic, and I really don't read a lot of those. It's not that I have anything against them. It's just not typically something I reach for. I picked this one up on a whim, and it lives rent-free in my head. Like, there's a specific passage in here that just, oh, I love it. I love it. And I need to reread it. I want to annotate it next time I read it. But that passage specifically, just, it's embedded in the brain. And I love Sylvia Plath. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but I am literally obsessed. 9 is a book that deserves all the hype that it gets. And obviously I had to pick Heartstopper. Like, it is utter gay boy perfection. I love it. I think it is an amazing series. I love the adaptation as well. The adaptation is perfection. There will never be enough volumes. Like, I am totally on board to read new Nick and Charlie stories for the rest of my days. So, number 10 is a book you recommend when asked. And the funny thing about that is no one actually asks me for recommendations. I just kind of shove things down people's throats. But the one that I think everyone should read, whether you know who he is or not, is The Storyteller by Dave Grohl. This, I think, is my favorite memoir. I've read this a couple of times, and I am completely obsessed with it. Like, I don't know too much about Dave Grohl. Like, I know he's a musician. I know the bands that he's been in over the years, but I really didn't know anything about him other than that. I got my mom to read this, and she really loved it. I'm trying to convince my dad to read it, but I feel like your average everyday reader, this is the book that I would probably recommend. Just because, like, memoirs are typically easy to read. I just feel like they're very easy to get into, and this one is just, it is phenomenal. If you haven't read it, you should. 11 is a book that has your favorite characters. And this one was tricky because I love my characters, but I felt like this was the best answer because there are so many characters, and that is Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. I know Cassie Clare is a mixed bag, but it's really like, if you love it, you love it, and if you don't, you don't, and I am one of those who do. It's so good, but there's tons of characters in here that span from like all the series. Love Cassandra Clare's characters. They're witty, they're funny, like the banter is like none other, and it's so good. And I never get tired of reading about them, and apparently I'm not the only one. 12 is a book you wish you could live in. It's one of my least favorite questions in this tag. And I really didn't know what to pick. So I went with Bee and Puppy Cat. I would love to have Puppy Cat. And I would also love to be able to veg out on snacks all day and work temp jobs in space on other planets so I have money to buy more snacks. And also, like, the world itself, like, it's very, oh, well, I guess that's not the best example. But it's very just like cutesy and fun, and I am here for it. I could live here. I think I could thrive in this kind of world. 13 is a book that you thought you'd hate, but you loved. Now, this one is fun. And for that, I chose Zodiac Academy. I don't know why I picked this up. I think it was just one of those things where I was seeing it everywhere. I really didn't think that I was gonna like this. I was like, there's no way. Like, there's no way. And I read this fairly quickly. It's one of those books where you know it's trash. The writing is trash. Like, there's, I don't know how many like typos and grammatical errors in this, but I ate it up. I haven't continued on with this series, but I do own the first 5 books, so I will get to them. And I do hear that they get better, but it's just one of those where it's like you know it's garbage, but it doesn't matter. Number 14 is a book that made you cry. Now, it's not incredibly difficult for me to cry with a book. I am an emotional being, but I was really trying to find something that just truly broke me as a person. And we're talking like sobbing uncontrollably for like the entire book. And the only one that I could find that really fit that description that I've read like in the recent years is You've Reached Sam. I know a lot of people didn't really care for this book. I think it is phenomenal, especially for a YA. But I remember sitting right over there in my recliner, like in the middle of the night, sobbing and sobbing and sobbing while I was reading this book. Like, I remember having to take breaks in the middle of the night to go crawl in the bed with Beebs and just hold her. And then I would come back and read some more and be in pain. This one really broke me. I mean, there's lots of other books that have made me cry, but I feel like nothing has made me cry like this book did since A Monster Calls. And that was an ugly cry. 15 is a book you wish you could read for the first time. There's several. There are several, but I chose The Dark Vault. This is actually a bind up of the archived and the unbound. Charlie! Ma'am, please get off. Ma'am. 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 Please come down. Please come down. Please come down, Charlie. She's not coming down. But yes, The Dark Vault. So this is another one that I'm scared to reread it because I fear I won't like it as much as I did the first time. I read this whole thing, I want to say in like a day and a half. And I feel like it only took that long because I had to work. But I ate this up. There's been so many books in between when I read these to now that I really couldn't tell you exactly why I loved it so much. Like, I will have to do a reread, and I desperately want to because I want to annotate it. But it was like, it sucked me in from the first page. Like, I remember I found this in Half Price Books. I bought it. I started reading it in the car ride home, which is something that I never do. And I didn't stop reading it. I would love to experience this for the first time again, especially because I'm so afraid to reread it. But it is going to happen hopefully this year, so you'll be able to see more of my thoughts on it soon. 16 is a book that could cure a reading slump. This one also, I'm a mood reader, so that really depends. But I chose A Court of Thorns and Roses, and that's just because, as trash as you might think it is, like, the story is good, and the writing is very easy and immersive, and it's like, you don't have to think too hard while reading it. You can just kind of experience it. 17 is a book you think everyone should read, and for that, I chose Six of Crows. I probably should have grabbed my other edition, though. This one is muy shiny. This is such a great book. Like, if you don't know, if you haven't noticed, I love Leigh Bardugo. The series specifically is just, it is so good. The characters are so good. The plot is so good. The writing is so good. It is so fun. Mom, I know you're watching this. Pick these up next, please. Also, too, it's just a duology. So it's not like you have to read fucking 28 books. Like, it's not a big investment. It is literally just 2. And they're just so good. I also, oh, it's not this one, but I am in the middle of a reread in my other copy. So this is just, it's good. It's good all the time, and I feel everyone should read it. Everyone should at least read this one, even if you don't want to read Crooked Kingdom. Just read it. Just experience it. It's just so good. It is so good. And it is a staple. It's a staple. 18 is a book you think would make an amazing movie or TV show. I didn't like this question, especially because all the ones that I could think of have already been adapted. So I'm changing this question to a book that had your favorite adaptation. But I picked Scott Pilgrim. I love this comic series. It is so good, but the movie, oh my God, it is so good. And it is still good. Like, I know that it's been out for a while, but it holds up. Like, it is so good. The characters, like, the casting is perfection. The soundtrack is perfection. Like, oh my God, that soundtrack. By the way, I have the soundtrack on my wish list. My birthday's in August. Such a good adaptation. And I love it. I actually saw the movie before I read the comics. And it's just so good. Like, if you haven't read this, do it. But if you haven't seen that movie, do it. 19 is a book that you wish everyone would give a try. And that is easily Saga. This series is weird. And, like, it throws the weird at you, like, right away. Like, right on page 1. Like, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And I understand that. It wasn't mine either. Like, I'm not really a sci-fi girly, so this didn't really appeal to me, but I kept hearing people talk about it, and I had to know. Can 100% say that I don't care if you don't like sci-fi. I don't care if you don't like fantasy. I don't care if you don't like comics. I don't care about anything. Like, this is worth your time. It's worth your time. You should try it. Just try it. Just let it be weird, and like it's not gonna stop being weird, but I promise you, just let it do its thing, and you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. And if you don't, I'm very, very sorry for you, but you should. And 20 is a book you'll never forget. This one also was another tricky one, and I had several in mind. I feel like I couldn't have a book recommendation video without recommending this because I own so many copies, and that is Alice in Wonderland. By the way, this is one of my favorite copies I own. It's like this little pulp paperback. I love it. I think it's so cool. But obviously, like, Alice in Wonderland is iconic. I love it. It never gets old. There's so many different adaptations and styles, and it's so much fun to like read physically. The wordplay in there is so much fun, and I love it. I love it so much. I own so many copies. Maybe I'll make that into a video. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see all the editions of Alice that I own. I mean, I'm no Haley in Booklands, but I'm not doing too bad. But yeah, so that was the book rec tag. I hope that you got to know me and my reading tastes a little bit more. Please let me know down in the comments if there's any similarities. I would love to know if there was any books on this list that you hate. Tell me why you think my favorite books are trash. Like, I think that is fascinating. If you have anything to say, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear it. Like, you don't worry about offending me. Like, I totally get it. Thank you for sticking around on another video. I know this one was a little bit longer, so if you made it to the end, please let me know down in the comments. Give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Show the love, and I'd love to talk to y'all down there. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!